And we're live. It is Saturday, the 3rd Saturday of October. And as you can see with Jim Dunaway, he is in beautiful Knoxville, Tennessee for Alabama and Tennessee. What a day of football ahead, Dunaway.
It's a big day. I mean, you got both of the national shows that are here. Game days are a couple of blocks that way. SEC Nation's a couple of blocks that way. I'm on the 11th Street garage parking where they park some of the media members, and a lot of Tennessee tailgaters here pay to be here, and they are cranked up, ready to go all around, decked in their orange traditional uniforms today for Tennessee. A lot of excitement here in Knoxville for this one, as you would imagine. Two teams with not just SEC championship hopes, but national championship hopes.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the game we thought Bama-Texas A&M was going to be, right? I mean, this was what we thought, in the preseason. Hey, the world's going to stop for Alabama-Texas A&M. Didn't quite turn out that way for Bama A&M. But here we are with Alabama-Tennessee. I mean, the biggest game in the nation, undefeated versus undefeated. If Tennessee wins this game, they'll be in places they haven't been since Philip Fulmer's days. I would imagine they jump up in the top 3 or 4 in the country. If Alabama wins this game, it might be enough to vault them back to number 1. So it's a lot on the line in this game in terms of that. Now, in terms of the SEC, really, for both teams, this is far from make or break.
100%. What you said there is exactly right. And I was talking to some folks here last night. This is sort of how I hope this rivalry is from this point moving forward. I hope Nick Saban, his remaining time at Alabama, and whoever takes over after that's able to keep Alabama where they are. And I sort of like having Tennessee really good. I mean, if you tell me, because it's on the schedule every year, if you tell me, would you rather have Georgia or Tennessee as the best team in the East? Georgia and Kirby's not going anywhere, but I like Tennessee being really, really good because this is a rivalry that a lot of us really enjoyed growing up at Alabama. And it's been great to win 15 straight. You hope it's 16 today if you're an Alabama fan. But there is something that when both of these teams are really good and you come to this place or when they come down there in that orange, that just makes this time of year. I don't know, Brown, is it the weather? This sort of seems like every year in our part of the world, this is when it finally feels like football. It's not as hot anymore. There's always been something about Alabama-Tennessee that's been really special on the schedule.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's almost like the introduction of fall in the South, right? That it's really fall. The leaves have changed. You see that orange and the crimson on the field together. Yeah, I mean, it just feels like fall. You're absolutely right. Sure enough, we're going to get down to the 50s for highs next week. So even God's cooperating, right, with the football schedule. But yeah, it just feels like fall when Alabama and Tennessee play. It's a rivalry known by its place on the calendar, the 3rd Saturday in October, which is where historically, by and large, this game has been played.
Yeah, I was enjoying a nice cocktail, glass of wine last night while I was waiting on my to-go order to head back to my palatial estate that I stayed in last night, and more on that in a second. And I was asking this guy who's a Tennessee fan. I said, I wonder, because you guys are going to go crazy if you win. You're going to rush the field because everybody rushes the field when they beat Nick Saban in Alabama these days. You guys don't say you're not. You're going to rush the field. And I wonder if as an Alabama fan, if it hurts more losing after winning 15 straight, that first loss after winning so many in a row, or if it would sting less if it was like an alternating, you win one, you lose one, you win one, you lose one, because how crazy they're going to go if they finally win after 16 years, very deservingly. It's all pimped up, and they've been, the Alabama hate week up here is just like Tennessee hate week down there. So, it's almost, it's been great when you win it, but it's almost when that loss finally comes, it's going to be 15 times worse than it was back when you were almost alternating. But we've never really alternated in this rivalry, have we? It's always been big streaks one way or the other, just never like this.
Yeah, I remember being at Legion Field in the infamous 95 game when very early in that game, or really first play from scrimmage, if I remember right, first offensive play from scrimmage, and Tennessee never really looked back, and they beat Alabama. And I remember that was in Legion Field, Tennessee fans rushing the field, getting handcuffed to the goalpost by Birmingham police. You could just feel the emotion there. I remember when Christensen hit the kick for Alabama to win that game. So, it has been a rivalry that has been known by long streaks. But Dunaway, this one feels like forever. I mean, it is in the entire Nick Saban era that this streak has been going on. And people have been talking about Saban's retirement for years now. So that puts in perspective all Alabama has accomplished. Tennessee has not beaten them in that time. It's just really remarkable.
It is. And, I don't think it's been, as celebrated as much with Alabama fans because Tennessee has had so much of a downward trend. It hasn't like a streak over LSU or a streak over Auburn, because there have been so many high points for those programs during this time of Nick Saban in Tuscaloosa. It seems like it would have resonated more than this streak has against Tennessee, because the Vols have been so low on the national scene. But they're back now, and I don't know how long Josh Heupel will be here, but he's bringing in great recruits. Jeremy Pruitt, for all he did wrong here, he left some talent behind. And they've meshed together. They are a dangerous football team, at least offensively today, and we'll see what they can do defensively. But this fan base is hungry, and they're ready to go. And there is some sprinkling of Alabama fans out here, but as I have told you all week on the show, a lot of Alabama fans have taken advantage of the what is now a $600 get-in on the open market, and they're paying some Christmas bills, letting Tennessee fans come to this game.
All right, there is some actual news from this game that broke kind of late last night and into today. We'll get to that in a second. You are watching the JohnstonRVCenter.com Saturday preview. Thank you to Johnston RV Center, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, exit 334 in Decatur. They are clearing out those 2022s to make room for the 23s, which means you could save big. Great deals at Johnston RV Center. Go see them. I-65, exit 304. And Coleman, exit 334 in Decatur. Always online, JohnstonRVCenter.com. Also, Champy's world-famous fried chicken. Great for your college football parties today as you watch Auburn-Ole Miss and Alabama-Tennessee. Champy's world-famous fried chicken off 119 in Alabaster there. Also, don't forget the Next Round store, nextround.store. Go use codes Jim or Lance or Brown or Rockstar. Buy one, get one 50% off this weekend at nextround.store. If you're watching us on YouTube, please go ahead and give us that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed and you've set alerts so you know when we're live. We'll be live post-game as well. If you're watching us on Twitter, do us a favor and retweet this link right here that you're watching and give us a thumbs up there as well. Drop some comments in. We'll get to those in just a moment. And if you're watching us on Facebook, share it. Give us a like there, and on Twitch as well. By the way, nextround.store, you can get that hat Dunaway's wearing. It's the Love You Blue hat, Dunaway,
yeah.
Right?
I've got a battle red I'm going to throw on as I walk over to the stadium
for game day.
Yeah, I just didn't want to, out here for an hour in the tailgate area. I didn't want to throw the red on too soon. You see, I've professional move here. I've backed my Alabama tags up against the wall here on the top of the parking deck. So
smart guy, yeah, smart idea.
So the Alfa Romeo will not. Will hopefully make it through the outcome of the game.
Yeah. This shirt available. Y'all can have the rest shirt in the Next Round store, nextround.store. Buy one, get one half off when you use code Jim, Lance, Brown, or Rockstar. A lot of people in the chat asking where Lance is. This is a planned off day for Lance. He's taking the trip up there. So not indicative at all of what Lance did in Knoxville last night. This was planned. All right, this is a planned off day for Lance. So nothing there. All right, the actual news. Go ahead.
On that front, tell them who will join you for the postgame, because I think that's really exciting news. Who's going to join you for the postgame today?
Right after Bama-Tennessee ends, Will Lowry, the former Alabama Hoover High School defensive back, is going to join me. And Dunaway will come on as soon as he's done with 42. He'll be on CBS 42 afterwards if we're still there when 42 wraps. Dunaway's going to jump on with us. But Will Lowry will kind of break down what we saw, and we'll take your comments as well. And look back at Bama-Tennessee, look ahead to what's down the road for the Crimson Tide and for Auburn and Ole Miss after that game. So, yeah, that's what's up next. Excuse me. So, Dunaway, last night, ESPN broke after talking to Nick Saban that Bryce Young is expected to play in the game today. Pete Thamel took it a step further on game day today, saying he is going to play unless there's any sort of setback this morning. Saban said that his shoulder had reacted much better after throwing at practice this week than it did last week. So it looks like Bryce Young is a full go today. What percent healthy is, I have no idea. I don't think anybody knows, Jim. But that's great news for Bama fans that Bryce Young is going to play in this game today.
Yeah, it's really nice for Nick Saban to confirm what Las Vegas had told us at 11:45 on our show yesterday, right?
Yeah. When that line jumped up to 9, for those that don't know, the line opened at 7 yesterday. Alabama favored 7, jumped up to 9 when word started to leak out, and that's where it is right now. It dipped back down to 8.5, but I'm looking updated line scores and odds.com. Dunaway, Bama -9, total of 66.5. So that number jumped 2 points yesterday on the Bryce Young news and has pretty much stayed at that level at Bama -9.
Yeah, and my dad tried to tell me that when I was little, that he called them the mob, but whoever runs gambling in America, he said, son, they know things that go on before any sports reporter knows. And I was like, Dad, that's not true. Sports reporters have connections, they have ties, but he's like, not like the people who run gambling, son. They know first. And when we saw that line move yesterday, we were like, somebody knows something. Somebody knows something.
You have felt all this week, this is Tennessee win. Lance kind of started on Tennessee, came back to Alabama. I've been on Alabama from day one. Does that news affect the way you feel? You still think Tennessee gets the win here today?
I don't think Tennessee, necessarily wins the game. I was getting 7.5, 8.5 points.
Okay, my apologies.
They got a chance. They've got a chance to win the game, absolutely, because of, in my opinion, the great receivers they have, and what I saw from the Alabama secondary in the Texas game. Can Alabama? And as soon as I said that, though, you made the best point of the week, Jim. You're basing that off of Big 12 officiating, and this will be SEC officials. And I do think SEC officials, to your point, allows the athletes on the field, whether it's offensive linemen or DBs, to play a little bit more. I think they call it more like the NFL than some of the other conferences do. So that was a great point by you, that Alabama's holding and pass interference call on a lesser than receiving core at Texas than what they will face today at Tennessee was with Big 12 officials. But that's what concerns me for Alabama. If they can't get to Hendon Hooker fast enough, and the secondary starts to panic like they did in Austin with this crowd, that's where the penalties start to stack up. That's where I think Alabama could lose the football game. If I'm Alabama, I want to play this game. You don't control the game, like Gene Stallings used to, or even Nick Saban early in his career, like that anymore, especially with Bryce Young at quarterback. But with these Alabama receivers, and Alabama's run game is only behind the academies, right, in rushing. I think Alabama wants to run the football today and play this game in the 20s and low 30s and not in the high 30s and 40s.
Well, and that's something, Tennessee actually, as bad as they've been against the pass, defensively, they've been that good against the rush. And you wonder, is some of that because, there are a lot of factors that can go into that. Is one of the factors that teams have been able to throw on them so well that they don't run as much. Another factor is they've gotten ahead of some teams. So some teams have had to kind of abandon the run and go to the pass, such as the Florida game and the LSU game. So, numbers can lie sometimes, but I do think that is a key number in this game, Dunaway, is the Tennessee rush defense, which gives up under 100 yards a game, versus the Alabama rush offense, which is, as you said, is number 3 in the nation, only behind Army and Air Force in yards per game. They're number 1 in the nation in yards per carry at almost 7 a carry. Which one of those battles of wills wins? If Alabama can run the ball effectively, that takes a ton of pressure off Bryce Young, or if Jalen Milroe has to be in the game for whatever reason, that just takes a ton of pressure off them. And if it's Bryce Young, who's anywhere close to his normal self, you let those safeties creep up a little bit and run support, he will absolutely eat you alive when he starts to get single coverage.
Yeah, and this is not the Ryan Brown fan club here, but you made another good point this week as well, talking about that run game and such, and how Alabama needs to establish a run. But you also pointed out that the offensive line, not only do they have to do a great job establishing the run, they've got to do, not that you're not always trying to protect your quarterback, but they've got to amp that up even a little bit more. Like even one hit could knock Bryce Young into a bad place and he'll have to leave the game. So the offensive line today, not just establishing the run, but as you said this week, putting up a bubble around Bryce Young may be more important today than ever.
Yeah, I think it's an offensive line game for Alabama, being able to run the football and protect whatever quarterback is there. It's very important for Bryce Young. Obviously, he's playing injured, but it's important if Milroe is in there too, Jim. This is a young quarterback at Milroe, if he's in there. playing in the most hostile environment he's played in. Arkansas was pretty hostile, obviously, but this is a step above, playing the best opponent he's ever played. You got to give him every opportunity to succeed, and a good run game takes care of that. So, yeah, that's a big deal, offensive line play, as is in any big game, but I think it's especially big today. All right, it's the JohnstonRVCenter.com Saturday preview. Johnston RV Center, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, and they're clearing out the 22s to make room for the 23s. You can see more at JohnstonRVCenter.com. Also, thank you to Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken, Sterling and the gang there. Great chicken fingers, po' boys, Mississippi Delta tamales. Great sides and desserts, great for your football parties. Also, don't forget nextround.store, nextround.store. Use code Jim, Lance, Brown, or Rockstar, and buy one, get one 50% off all weekend long with those codes at nextround.store. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe on YouTube. Also, set your alerts. Retweet us if you're on Twitter and give us a thumbs up there. Like us and share us on Facebook and like us on Twitch. Before we get to more games, let's touch on Auburn, Dunaway. They go here at 11 o'clock over in Oxford, Mississippi. That game has ticked up to Ole Miss, favored by 15.5. The Rebs more than 2 touchdown favorites in Oxford over Auburn. The smart guys in Vegas don't think this one's close at all.
Well, you just wonder when Auburn, the air comes out of the balloon, right? If you keep hearing so much that the coach is going to be gone, the staff's going to be gone, maybe you keep a couple of the Auburn guys. I mean, they've heard that since SEC Media Days. They've heard that since February and March. And the way that game went in the second half last week at Georgia, you get the feeling that nobody's expecting Auburn to come out and fight today. And, you know, we talk to John Samuel Schinker every week, and that's not what he tells us. They're going to go out and fight today. That number seems to be big to me. I would play Auburn to keep it inside 15.5. I was going to play Auburn to keep it inside 14.5. But I'm expecting them to fight today. But when you've got a situation like they've got at Auburn, there's going to be a day when those players just can't push that rock up the hill anymore. And I get the feeling a lot of people think that's going to be today.
Yeah, I mean, it is a game that Auburn has been so bad in the second half. There is going to be a game where they struggle in the first half too. And maybe it was in Georgia last week. I don't know. I thought their defense played very well in Athens. They were very challenged offensively. They tried the fake punt to get things going, just could never get anything going offensively. But there's going to come another game where they struggle in the first half. And as bad as they've been in the second half, if they struggle any at all in the first half, Dunaway, the analogy of pushing the rock up the hill, that becomes even a steeper hill and even a heavier rock if they struggle in the first half, which I think is your fear in Oxford if you're an Auburn fan. It's your fear anywhere, but certainly in Oxford today.
Yeah, and Lane never beating Auburn before. You made a point again, and we talked about it on the show, 9-1 Central in Next Round Live during the week, that Lane's never beaten Auburn, and there may be a little bit of trying to get a pound of flesh out of the Tigers today if he gets that opportunity. Yeah,
I've talked to Neil McCready was talking about that. Rebel Grove, Rivals, covers Ole Miss. He says that's the thing that, believe it or not, really sticks in Lane Kiffin's crawl, is that he's never beaten Auburn. And he's never beaten Alabama either. But to Neil's point, he's like, look, he gets that, right? I mean, that's the model. But they feel like they've had the better team than Auburn, and they just can't beat Auburn. So you wonder if Lane gets an opportunity, if he takes a little frustration in that. So it could be a tough spot for Auburn. All right, let's talk about some of the other games here. Penn State, Michigan going at 11 as well on Fox. Of course, that Auburn-Ole Miss game on ESPN, Bama, Tennessee on CBS. Penn State, Michigan going on Fox. The big noon kickoff, number 10, Penn State at number 5, Michigan. The Wolverines start the day Dunaway favored by a touchdown. Michigan favored by 7. These are two teams that really want to establish the run, and statistically they're both good at that. And they're also statistically both good at stopping the run. You talk about a battle of wills. Both these teams are trying to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, this one will make old school Woody and Bo fans smile today in the Big Ten. They're gonna want to run the ball and establish the run today. Believe it or not, I trust Michigan more in this situation because of one, their offensive line is healthier from what they wanted it to be. Penn State's experienced about 3 injuries, 3 guys that they thought would be starters going into the year that will not be playing in this game. They're out. And then I think Michigan, even though they lost 2 big NFL defensive end draft picks, I think their defense is a little bit more stout in the front 7 than Penn State is. So I like Michigan to defend the home turf today and and keep heading towards that big showdown with Ohio State at the end of the year. That Michigan schedule hasn't been a backbreaker to this point. This is their biggest test to date, but I'm not sure they've got a backbreaker on that schedule until they play Ohio State at the end, if they can survive the Nittanies today.
Yeah, it's been a very favorable schedule for them, no doubt. Catching Penn State at home is huge. You're right. I mean, if they get past this game today, I could see Michigan being undefeated. Could be an undefeated, I think it would be an undefeated Ohio State-Michigan game for that division, potentially for a place in the college football playoffs. I mean, a lot on the line if both those teams are undefeated. Even a scenario in which one of them could lose and still get in the playoffs. I think if Michigan gets past this one, it's really difficult to find. You got a team like an Illinois or somebody like that that's kind of an up-and-coming team that might could shock the world. But, boy, it's tough to find losses on that Michigan schedule. You could get undefeated there. Speaking of Illinois, Dunaway, and teams that like to run the football, very Big Ten style. Also at 11 on the Big Ten Network, Illinois is hosting Minnesota, and Minnesota is the one that's laying points on the road in Champaign. The Golden Gophers, -5. My pick in this one, the Illini catching 5 at home. It's a total of 39. Nobody's expecting much scoring in this game.
But I'm right about this, right? DeVito's not playing for Illinois, or at least he's questionable for the game. So Chase Brown, great running back for Illinois, but I like Mohamed Ibrahim being rested and coming back, and Minnesota winning this game. I'd give the points in this one. I think the winner of this, whether it's Illinois or Minnesota, neither one of them play Ohio State. I think they have a path to represent the West in the Big Ten championship game. That's why I'll take Minnesota today to beat Illinois.
Also at 11, ESPN2, number 19, Kansas on the road at Oklahoma. It is up to 9.5 now. The Sooners favored 9.5 in this one. This is another one where when you look at the Vegas line, Dunaway, it tells you they think Dillon Gabriel's going to play in this.
Yeah, and Dillon Gabriel's made a difference for Oklahoma. I mean, he doesn't play defense, and the defense has been the story. But when Dillon Gabriel's played, Oklahoma's looked a lot better. I like Oklahoma today, especially with Kansas without their do-everything quarterback, Jalen Daniels. The backup looked good when he came in, but he's been scouted now, and he's not Jalen Daniels. There's a reason why Jalen Daniels has been the starter there. So I like Oklahoma, and I give the points on that one too.
All right, real quick, much like Bryce Young, I missed this earlier. Paul says DeVito is playing according to Game Day, and the Pinnacle SP backs him up. So that's good news for Illinois that DeVito is going to play.
Well, that helps me. I'll go change my my office pool then real quick.
There you go.
I may rethink that thing.
Yeah, I like Oklahoma in this spot against Kansas, by the way. With Gabriel back, I just think Oklahoma, they played awful defensively. Jaden Daniels is out of this game for Kansas. You go to Bean, the backup, who started a lot last year, so this guy's not an inexperienced starter. In fact, played Oklahoma last year and had pretty good numbers against them. I just don't think, Dunaway, this is almost like a school pride game for Oklahoma. They can't continue to play the type of football they've played over the past few weeks. This Kansas story, I think, is coming to an end soon. I like Oklahoma big, actually, in this game today.
It was Lance who said that he thought maybe that if Kansas lost to TCU last week with their schedule, they may not win another game. So fighting for bowl eligibility is still something KU's doing.
Yep, there's no doubt. Let's go to Iowa State, Texas, ABC, 11 o'clock. Iowa State in Austin. The Longhorns -15.5. This Texas team is a very interesting team with Quinn Ewers back. Their offense is back to clicking. Their defense has played pretty well with Gary Patterson giving the assist there. I think they'll probably drop another one Dunaway, but this Texas team is a team to watch in the Big 12. The way they're playing, if they won the rest of their games, I would not be stunned.
I mean, Quinn Ewers, he's not the best quarterback in the country, but with him healthy, he's elite. And then you've got arguably the best running back in Bijan Robinson, arguably one of the best wide receivers in Xavier Worthy. There's nothing not to like about this Texas offense. And then Alabama saw up close in person with a healthy Bryce Young. They fought to win that game late down in Austin. That's a legit playoff contender. They're exactly who I thought they would be at this point, minus an overtime loss at Texas Tech. And I don't think they have that overtime loss if Dallas Turner doesn't fall on Quinn Ewers. I think they would be a one-loss team, unbeaten in the Big 12, and the best team in the Big 12, in my opinion, is Texas.
Yeah, 2:30 SEC Network, by the way. We hit a lot of the top 25 teams. Number one, Georgia, -37.5. playing host to Vandy. Look, obviously Vandy's not going to win this game, Dunaway. But I do think Georgia needs a crisp outing at some point. I would not even call what they did against Auburn last week a crisp outing. They were a little sluggish in that first half. I think Kirby Smart would like to see his team put two halves of football together and have a crisp outing. Normally, Vandy is the formula for that.
Yeah, usually that is the case. But, last year with an Alabama team that was very young, maybe a year ahead of schedule, we kept hearing all year long, they struggled week to week, it seemed like, to put together a perfect game. They really only did that against Mississippi State and then Georgia in the SEC championship game. And you just get the feeling that Georgia is sort of having youth problems right now, and they may go all season long winning games, but winning it like they've done it the last few weeks, just like Alabama did last year. And then eventually they may get it right and win another championship. But, I don't think Georgia has anybody in their schedule that's going to scare them down the stretch. Georgia's that good. They'll get to the SEC championship game unbeaten. They're just trying to find themselves right now and getting some seat time for some of the young dogs.
We are in the JohnstonRVCenter.com Saturday preview. Dunaway's in Knoxville, and it is presented by Johnston RV Center. You want to go to places like Knoxville and watch games? Go in an RV from JohnstonRVCenter.com. You can see on I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, always online, JohnstonRVCenter.com. Moving out the 22s, making room for the 23s, which means you save big. Champy's world-famous fried chicken, also bringing you the Johnston RV Center Saturday preview. Go by Champy's, get all the supplies you need for your big college football parties today. Don't forget, this weekend, nextround.store, use the code Jim, Lance, Brown, or Rockstar, and you can buy one, get one half off all weekend long at nextround.store. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe and set alerts. Retweet us on Twitter. Like us there as well. Share us on Facebook. And give us a thumbs up there as well, and like us on Twitch. You see somebody you know there, Dunaway?
I was just going to ask. You know how I am on these live shots. Can you rate our connectivity at this point, 1 to 10?
I'd give it probably a solid 7. You've frozen up a couple times, but yeah, 7 or 8. Yeah, for what we're doing, it works.
Okay. All right. Good deal. All right. Just checking. If it gets down below a 5, let me know. Say pineapple or something. But of course, I wouldn't be able to hear you, I guess.
In standard Dunaway fashion, the minute you've asked that question, you were freezing up right there. So that's amazing. All right. Let's go to the 2:30 ACC Network game. How about the ACC Network in the top 20 game? NC State, number 15, at number 18, Syracuse. The Cuse laying 3 at home, a total of 42.5. More quarterback news this morning. Devin Leary is going to start for NC State, Dunaway, so they at least get Devin Leary in there. You're a Syracuse doubter. Syracuse has a tough stretch coming up right here, and it starts with NC State.
You cannot tell me that those two teams are two of the 20 best teams in America. I know we're politically correct in America, and we vote and all that, but if we really were going to lay them out on a table, that is not two of the best 20 teams in America. You be honest with me. You don't think NC State and Syracuse are two of the best 20 teams in America?
Look, you voted. I have voted in the Associated Press. When you vote in the Associated Press, 1 through 10 flows fairly easily, right? Then you get 10 through 15, and you're like, yeah, I guess they belong. And you get 15 through 25, and you're like, holy crap, is this who I'm voting on? I mean, you've done it, Dunaway. 15 through 25, you're like, none of these teams belong. I got to put them there, but they don't belong.
Yeah, Syracuse is right one notch below Texas A&M if they're in the SEC.
I don't disagree with that.
They're South Carolina. And South Carolina is not one of the 20 best teams in the country. South Carolina would beat Syracuse.
Yeah, Syracuse undefeated. We'll find out about them over the next 3 weeks. I don't have it in front of me. I know they got NC State. It's NC State, Clemson, Notre Dame. Those are their next 3. So I think we'll learn a lot about Syracuse. As you learned if you listen to the show today, Marcus Freeman is undefeated since converting to Catholicism as the Notre Dame coach. So look out for that storyline there. Arkansas, Dunaway on the road in Provo at BYU. The odds makers tell you this is the toughest game of the day to call. BYU favored by a point at home, a total of 66.5. This is not a must win for Arkansas because they're not, it's not like they're going anywhere. But boy, they really need a win here, Dunaway. 3 straight losses for Sam Pittman's team. And this is a tough spot to go needing a win.
Did we have more parity back when we were kids? There were more games that were quote unquote pick'ems back in the day, or points and a point, a half a point. We don't get many of those. Like you said, this is the closest one on the board today, and it's the Arkansas, the SEC team on the road at BYU. I think the Hogs get right today. They go out there and they run the football. Rocket Sanders has a big day against BYU, and I like Arkansas in this one. But didn't it seem like we had more pick'ems back in the day? We just got smarter in the gambling world not to put pick'ems out there.
You're right. It seemed like, you'd have 2 or 3 pick'ems in each conference, it would seem like. But maybe they've refined this, and maybe there's, I don't know, there's less parity. It seems like there's more parity now. You think you'd get more pick'ems, right?
Did you ever do, it was probably before your time, in the newspaper where you'd pick the games against the point spread, and then you'd have to cut them out and meld them in. Eventually it became Beat Feinbaum, but early on I think it was Alf Van Hoos or somebody who did it.
Well, I tell you what I did, and I brought this up the other day. When I was a kid, I worked at a golf course over in Calhoun County called Indian Oaks Golf Club, Indian Oaks Country Club. And there was a guy that was a member there that owned a printing company, right? And he would bring in, they were like about that big and that wide, and it would have every game, visitor, I think, listed first, and it would have the line out next to it. And obviously I didn't gamble. He was bringing it so all the guys at the club could gamble, right?
Right.
So I would get it, and I would go in and I would mark, gosh, there's no way Penn State's 3.5 points better than Miami. I'll take Miami. And I would go in and circle them and then go back, Sunday paper or Monday or whatever, and see how I did. Yeah, I would do that, but I never sent it in to try to win anything.
My boys are on a golf trip today. They left yesterday, and they're, I think, in the Louisville area, but they've got sportsbook today. In typical March Madness fashion, 7:30 Eastern time today, I get a text, hey, we're walking down to the sportsbook. Who are your favorite plays today? They want to fade Dunaway like they did in Vegas during the NCAA tournament. So I gave them my 6 favorite plays today. So they're going oppo on all of them, individually in a 16 parlay.
Can we wrap the show with your 6 favorite plays? Can we do that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My connection will hold on.
All right, okay. We'll do that. Hey, real quick, let's get some comments. Michael on YouTube, did he really convert? Yeah, that's a true story about Marcus Freeman. The Catholic Church diocese up there in that area announced his conversion September 15th, and he had just converted, and they've won 3 straight games. So he had lost all his games before becoming a Catholic. He's won all his games after becoming a Catholic. You tell me, Dunaway. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's working, but right now, so far, he's had to deliver 0 Hail Marys. So far, so good.
Pat McAfee, according to NH3425, just jumped in the Tennessee River on game day. Our boy Eric Ainge would not even consider that. He went to school there. He said that is nasty water in that part of the Tennessee.
Yeah, Eric made it sound like they dump all the sewer from the campus down into the Tennessee River about this part right here.
I know. He talked about fish with 5 eyes or whatever. So
yeah,
I don't know about that.
Well, Laura Rutledge did it first, so all right, McAfee, that's fine to do it. Rutledge did it first, but as Eric pointed out, I said, well, Laura came out of the river okay, and he's like, she had a little wiggle room to work with.
Yeah, she went in better looking. Yeah, she went in better than I did. Yeah. All right, let's go to the Big 12, Dunaway.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Let's go to the Big 12. ABC 2:30. This is a fun game. Oklahoma State, number 8, at number 13, TCU. The Horned Frogs, minus 4.5 in this one, a total of 68.5. I think everybody expects with Max Duggan for TCU, Spencer Sanders for Oklahoma State, a lot of points in this game.
This is the winner of this game plays Texas, in my opinion, for the Big 12 championship. These are the other 2 really good teams, and it's Oklahoma State when it's all said and done today. Spencer Sanders is I think the better quarterback in the game. Oklahoma State's defense with Derek Mason, but really left over Jim Knowles, is going to be a little bit better than TCU's defense today. I think Oklahoma State wins this game, and I think they win it going away.
Wow, I like TCU here. I like what Sonny Dykes has done with TCU. I'm not even going to worry about talking about defense in this game because I don't think you're going to get a ton of it. I don't think it's going to look like what TCU did against Oklahoma by any stretch, but I think this is an up and down the field game there in Fort Worth. Exciting game. It's one of those where I'm going to be so focused on Bama-Tennessee at 2:30. I wish this game were in any other time slot. This could be one of the most fun games of the day to me to watch, but it's going to be head-to-head with Bama-Tennessee, so it'll get one of those smaller TVs over here, and I don't know how much I'll be able to watch it.
And tell me what we're doing. with our television today. It's not the big noon kickoff, but it's on ABC, so it could have been the prime time game instead of Clemson and Florida State. Would you not rather have preferred to have Oklahoma State and TCU in prime time with Fowler and Herb Street than Clemson, Florida State?
Yeah, far more meaningful game. I mean, you got Oklahoma State in the top 10, TCU's 13, and as you said, this is kind of an early edge in the Big 12 game. Yeah, I'd much rather have that game. I don't know how long ago they made these selections. Maybe they thought TCU was going to lose to Oklahoma. Maybe they thought TCU was going to lose to Kansas. I don't know. I don't know how far ahead they made these selections, but I'm like you. The more attractive game is TCU Oklahoma State rather than Florida State and Clemson. I don't disagree at all. Although we'll get to that in a moment. That is a small line, Florida State and Clemson, and I guess Clemson getting upset is going to be good TV ratings if they do. I don't know. UAB Dunaway playing host to Charlotte, also 2:30 Stadium down at Protective Stadium. The Blazers a 23.5-point favorite. This Charlotte team is no good. I do not know what has happened to my guy there, but they are not a good team. This is another game for UAB to run up some numbers and make Dwayne McBride look like what he is, statistically the best running back in the nation.
Yeah, he's averaging 160.2 yards, and that's number one in the nation, the number one running back. He's had a 100-yard game in 11 straight games that he's played in for UAB. And UAB's as a team, is on pace to have the most total yards as an offense, the most rushing yards as an offense, and most points as an offense in school program history. So, and they're really good at home. They're 27-3 since they started back. Everything screams UAB here. It's a big number, though. But Charlotte's rush defense is horrible, and UAB runs it as good as anybody in the country. So I like UAB in this one, but I can't pick UAB, man. I think they're going to win at Liberty. They lose. I think they're going to lose to Middle Tennessee, and they blow them out. I can't pick UAB. So I have no what I say about UAB, it goes totally the opposite.
Win. That is a big number, but I mean, when you look at the numbers where Charlotte is in rush defense and where UAB is in rush offense, it's hard to make a case for it not to go over that number. So we'll see. LSU at Florida, 6 o'clock tonight, ESPN. The Gators -2.5 at home hosting LSU. Both these coaches in their first year, and it's not by any stretch of the imagination a hot seat situation for either of them. But it does feel like a really big game for both of them just to kind of get things headed in the right direction.
You know, Billy Napier turned down Auburn and turned down South Carolina, according to reports, and waited on the right job. And a lot of people thought he wanted the LSU job, but they didn't look at him. I don't know if they didn't look at him because he was the coach at Louisiana Lafayette or because they were set on Brian Kelly and they were able to get Brian Kelly. But, you know, Scott Woodward, the AD, was known for getting wow hires, and I don't know if he thought Billy Napier would be the wow hire, but he's a guy that I think coveted the LSU job because he knows what it could be. Brian Kelly's making $98 million a year. Billy Napier, not a year, but $98 million in his contract. Billy Napier's making $51 million. I feel like this one means something to Billy Napier today. I think his team is closer to where neither one of these coaches have their teams where they want it to be. I just think Billy Napier is closer to having his sort of personality established in his program. Brian Kelly's got a long way to go, I think, to rework and build LSU the way he wants to. The game's at home. I like Florida in this one. Best quarterback. Both of them are inconsistent, but I think it's with Florida. Yeah, so I'm going to go Florida in this one, probably mostly because it's in the Swamp.
Yeah, I think tonight best quarterback is going to be Anthony Richardson. I'm like you. I don't know who the best quarterback is week in, week out. They have been inconsistent, but tonight I think it'll be Anthony Richardson. 6:30, SEC Network, number 16, Mississippi State at number 22, Kentucky. State a 3.5-point favorite. You've been calling this all week the Battle of Wills. Rogers versus Levis. Rogers, the statistically best quarterback in the nation, against Levis, who's coming back from this injury.
Yeah. Will Rogers is the better quarterback in this, but I think Kentucky will be able to muck this game up a little bit like we saw LSU do it against Mississippi State in the second half, like Alabama's been able to do a couple of times against Mike Leach. So I think that gives Kentucky a path to victory tonight. by their defense and a really good secondary. Kentucky's secondary is a little underrated. I think they'll be able to handle Mississippi State tonight in an upset, and it'll take a little bit of an air out of what next week could be at Bryant-Denny Stadium. But if Mississippi State wins this one, and Alabama survives Knoxville today, that's a huge game next week in prime time on ESPN.
It is. You know what I think everybody's waiting for in Mississippi State is that game where they run up against a really good defense and completely lay an egg. You feel like you get that out of that air raid and out of Mike Leach about once a year, where they hit a good defense and they can do nothing right offensively. I feel like it'll be one of these next two games for them. It'll either be at Kentucky or next weekend in Tuscaloosa. And historically, you know, Mike Leach has not done well, historically, a couple of years, obviously, has not done well against the Alabama defenses. So I think one of these next two is when they just kind of hit the wall offensively and have that crap game that they kind of do every year.
And that happened in the second half against LSU. I don't think they scored, did they, in the second half?
I don't think so.
Let that game get away. Yeah. So, I mean, it's already happened once, and it could happen again tonight. And I expect it to happen next week in Tuscaloosa, too.
6:30 game, and then we're going to JD's got a good question for you here, Dunaway. We'll get to that. Clemson at Florida State, you mentioned that earlier, is the prime ABC game, 6:30 on 3340 in Birmingham. Clemson, number 4 in the country, -4.5 at Florida State. This is a skinny number for a Clemson conference game. They don't get many conference games where the number's under 7.
It is a skinny number. Will Shipley, though, is the key here. Clemson running the football against a Florida State defensive line that is not as good as it once was. Jordan Travis is really good, but I think DJ Uiagalelei is starting to find what he needs to be as the Clemson quarterback. And it was pointed out this week he's sort of played into more of a game manager role by a couple of our guests. So I like Clemson in this game. Obviously, Vegas is trying to tell me something different, but I'm going to take the Clemson Tigers to survive on the road in Tallahassee tonight.
All right, we've got just a little bit left to go. Coming up, Dunaway's going to give us his 6 teams that can't go wrong, right? His 6 picks that can't go wrong. We'll make an official pick on Auburn-Ole Miss, Alabama-Tennessee. And Dunaway is going to answer this question in just a moment from JD. He teased it earlier. But first, I want to remind you, you're watching the JohnstonRVCenter.com Saturday preview. JohnstonRVCenter.com, I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. They're moving out the 22s to make room for the 23s. So if you're wanting that new RV, upgrade that fifth wheel, the tow-behind trailer, you could get those at great prices right now at JohnstonRVCenter.com. JohnstonRVCenter.com. You see the logo down below. Also below Dunaway is the Champy's logo. Man, I never can get this right. Yeah, you point out. Thanks, Jim. The Champy's logo. It's reversed in my camera, so I never get it right. The Champy's logo right there with Dunaway. Champy's world famous fried chicken. Just off 119 in Alabaster right there. Great idea if you're throwing a party for Bama-Tennessee or halftime for Auburn-Ole Miss. Champy's world famous fried chicken. The great chicken fingers, po' boys, desserts, sides, Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. They're fantastic. Also, all weekend long, nextround.store, nextround.store. That's right above us right here. Jim, Lance, Brown, Rockstar. Use one of those codes at checkout. You buy one, get one half off. They're at nextround.store all weekend long. Use codes Jim, Lance, Brown, or Rockstar at checkout to get that discount on your second item. Thank you for catching us on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up there on YouTube if you haven't already. Subscribe, set your alerts, retweet us on Twitter. Give us a thumbs up there as well. Share us on Facebook if you will. Like us there as well, and like us on Twitch. All right. JD says, have I missed Jim's Baymont Inn review? JD asked on YouTube. Dunaway, you teased it earlier. Give me a review of the Knoxville area Baymont Inn.
Let's see. Well, first off, my profile on my the app I use to book hotels has me as always a non-smoking room. Somebody had smoked in this room before, and it seems like a generation of people had smoked in this room before. And there are no other rooms.
Oh, man, that's
I feel like
old
all
school.
the rooms. It is. I feel like all the rooms had the same smell to it. So I instantly went out. Probably should have done this anyway, but I went out to a Bed Bath & Beyond when I went out to grab dinner, and I bought me a nice pillow for $44 and a pillowcase. So I was going to use my own pillow, and I was going to sleep on top of the sheets. And not the bedspread. I pulled that off, but on top of the sheets. I didn't take any of my clothes in to the room because I didn't want to smell like it all day long. I showered and in gym shorts and T-shirts, walked out to my car this morning at 6:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Central, and changed in my car and drove to a local restaurant to have breakfast. But last night, no joke, brushing my teeth before I went to bed. Everybody familiar with that Reba McEntire song, Fancy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Fancy. Here's
Yeah.
your one chance. Don't let me down.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't do that last night, but I brushing my teeth, and across my bare foot crawls a roach. And if you see one, you think there's got to be more, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that stayed with me all night long. I woke up like every 40 minutes, just thinking something was crawling on me. Every 40 minutes. So
Terrible
it was not a good night's sleep. Yeah, not a good night's sleep for me. And nice people though, really nice people on it. And I'm glad they're in our country. Just really, not you know. Yeah, I will tell you exactly the truth of it is, I spent $220 at dinner last night. I paid $120 for my hotel room. I probably should have flipped that around.
Yeah, that's 5 Dunaway. You're driving home tonight, right? No stay tonight.
Yes, I would sleep in my car if I have to.
We will be post-game after the game. Dunaway may be able to join us depending on how long Bama-Tennessee goes and therefore how long CBS 42 post-game goes. But former Bama DB Will Lowry will join me. We'll talk about what we saw in Auburn-Ole Miss and what we just saw in Bama-Tennessee. So right after the game, wherever you're watching us, we'll be back live again. So make sure you've set your alerts or watch for our tweets. Let's go to the 7 o'clock window, Dunaway. Primetime Fox. Number 7 USC at number 20 Utah. USC, a road dog in this game, even though they got the smaller number to the left of their name. USC, point underdog, a total of 65 in this game. So some more points here. This is a fascinating game for Lincoln Riley. What was that? Somebody threw a can at you?
Somebody threw a can this way.
Was it a empty beer can? Was it at least Bud Light? Are they at least on brand for us?
It was. It looked to be a Red Bull, so not on brand. I did have a new Ghost Energy. I had a new flavor of Ghost that we do not have at our station. I stopped in that little slither of Georgia. Was getting a little drowsy yesterday. Traffic was so bad, so I grabbed a Ghost Citrus. We don't have a citrus up there. It tastes really like a. It tastes like a Diet Mountain Dew. It was really, really good. I enjoyed it. That's my favorite Ghost drink right now.
All right, Ghost Citrus. Dunaway says, Rising Fawn, Georgia. That's where you were, right? Rising Fawn, Georgia.
Yep, exactly, 100%. Traffic was horrible, by the way. Traffic was horrible.
Even in that part, it's normally not bad there.
Yeah, from Rising Fawn all the way to where the interstate connects and start going into Knoxville. It said, well, that's before Chattanooga. So right there, and Waze comes on, and as I'm driving up on it, there's one little place. It said it was like 2 miles before the interstates merge. It says exit here. Yeah. But I was not paying attention. I was listening to the Braves game. It was about the time that the Braves gave up 6 runs in 1 inning or however many it was, and I went past it, the exit, and just as I went past it, I realized that because I was doing about 80 at that point, I realized that it wanted me to turn there. And then it's about another half mile, I realized why it wanted me to turn. And it said, time in traffic, 45 minutes. And I was like, are you kidding me? So it is bumper to bumper, so much so that I opened the sunroof. I sent it out on Instagram if you want to see it. And I could sit there. I ended up turning the radio off and watching the Braves game. That's how we never got above 9 miles an hour for 40 minutes. And then you get into Chattanooga, and it opens up right when you get to the river, and you make that turn, and you start going up the hill, boom, you're locked in there again. Time in traffic, 30 minutes. So 30 minutes there. And then when you got to Knoxville, packed in Knoxville last night. Traffic was horrible on this drive, horrible.
For a town its size, per capita, Chattanooga's got the worst traffic of anywhere in the world. I've never seen, and I get it. They got a mountain on one side, a river on another, so there's only so many places you can build interstates there. But their traffic is just brutal for a town their size.
Yeah, they're in need of a really, really high bridge that just takes you across the river, the mountain, and the skyline.
Just over everything. It's like a ski lift, right?
Something like something like they would build in where are we hosting the World Cup? They would probably build this somewhere in the Saudi region of the world. Really high. Build it high.
Speaking of all of that, USC is a Utah, right? Utah minus 3.5. I like the Utes. I know Lance likes the Utes. This is a statement type game though for Lincoln Riley. People are buying in now. They're starting to talk about maybe a fringe national championship contender. They got to win at Utah today to keep that alive.
You know, back when I was the bartender opposite of Apache, I always would go opposite of Apache because he played the trends and the angles. And as the bartender, I've learned, listen, 11 straight home wins for Utah. Vegas is telling you Utah is going to win. That's why I'm taking USC. Big game for Caleb Williams and a big game for Travis Dye running the ball. Better quarterback tonight is Caleb Williams over Cam Rising. Another brutal interception late from Cam Rising. USC wins the game outright tonight.
That's our top 25 action. That's 7 o'clock on Fox. We'll get Dunaway in just a moment to give us his 6 picks that can't go wrong. Before I do all the business here, Braves Dodgers in trouble. You think over the weekend either one of those two survive?
I think the Braves are in trouble. The Phillies are swinging some hot sticks. Their big players are hitting, and Snitker, he pressed all the right buttons last year, and yesterday. In that big at bat, he walked Schwarber, who was on his way to. He was almost about to set a Major League Baseball postseason record of plate appearances without getting a hit. He's at 30, right? And they intentionally walk him to get to the guy next who knocks it out of the ballpark. They intentionally walked, and I'm not saying it was the wrong thing to do, but in hindsight, it was the wrong thing to do. They intentionally walked a guy who was 0 for his last 30 postseason at bats, and they were talking about it on the Philly broadcast about Schwarber. Man, it'd be a good time to get him going here. He's just tied Chase Utley, 4th all time, his most postseason at bats without a hit. Blah 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 blah. Oh wait, they're gonna give him a pass. They're gonna walk him. They put him on first base, and so the next guy comes up and he hits that home run where he knew it was gone when he hit it. He threw the bat right down, slammed the bat down at the plate. The game is so winning a championship, not winning a championship. I just feel like the magic isn't there for the Braves today. I think the Phillies end it today.
Wow. So Dodgers and Braves back against the wall in the NL Divisional Series, or else we get Padres versus Phillies, just what everybody thought in the NLCS. I think that would be wild. All right, Dunaway's about to give us his 6 picks that cannot miss. Johnston RV Center bringing you this show. JohnstonRVCenter.com. Rodney and Nick Johnston, just great people. Kelsey, the whole family up there, they're fantastic people. You want to deal with them. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. They're moving out the 22s to make room for the 23s, so it means you save big on the 22s. They absolutely have to get rid of them to make room. You're the beneficiary of that. See more at JohnstonRVCenter.com. That's JohnstonRVCenter.com. Also, thank you to Sterling, the group there at Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken. Champy'sChicken.com to see their menu. And it's a great idea for halftime or during the game for Auburn-Ole Miss and Bama and Tennessee. Also, go to NextRound.store. NextRound.store. Enter code Jim, Lance, Brown, or Rockstar at checkout. And you buy one, get one half off there at NextRound.store. We're not done yet, so give us a thumbs up and make sure you've subscribed on YouTube and set your alerts so you know when we're live, like after the game today. Also, retweet us, give us a thumbs up on Twitter, share us on Facebook, like us there, and also on Twitch. All right, Jimmy D, 6 games that cannot go wrong. Give us your pick 6 right here.
Okay, and this is with the point spread now, so take or give the points. As I say these, and just in case we've got a connection problem, you repeat them back to me, Brown, so I know you hear them. Tennessee plus the points. I like Tennessee plus the points.
Tennessee, as it is right now, +9. Tennessee +9 is pick 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Oklahoma State plus the points.
Stands right now, you've got Oklahoma State +4.5. Dunaway out of the chute with 2 underdogs.
I like Oklahoma giving the points.
Oklahoma at home against Kansas. Give me 1 second. It is now up to 10. That number has jumped up even since we started. Oklahoma -10.
So that's 3 right there. This is my 6 that I gave my boys. who are at a sports book right now, I was 2 of 32 using this formula during March Madness. You heard that right. 2 wins, 32 losses. They made money. They're paying for me to go to Vegas next year to use the same formula. They're at a sports book today. They woke me up this morning and said, give me 6 picks or give me all your favorite plays today. I only had 6. So this is the 6 I gave them. So it was Oklahoma, Oklahoma State. It was Tennessee. I like USC getting points at Utah. So give me the Trojans.
We just discussed that game. USC plus 3.5 on the road in Salt Lake City.
I like USF. The Bulls, I think they're getting somewhere around 10.5 or something today. 11,
12. It's up to 12 at home. Tulane at South Florida, 3 o'clock ESPNU. South Florida catching 12. Tulane comes to town.
Yep. And the other one was it was opposite of Illinois.
Southern?
It was no, not that one. I was on the wrong side. That was my upset alert earlier this week. I'm on the wrong side of that. Give me who's Illinois playing? The other Minnesota and giving the points. That was my 6.
Minnesota minus 5 at number 24 Illinois. Yeah, I didn't mention James Madison is in the top 25. You like Georgia Southern early in the week. They are catching 12.5 in Statesboro. You're backing off that one now, huh?
No, I'm not backing off of it. It just wasn't one of my 6.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to be legit and give you the same ones that they're betting in some backwoods casino in South Indiana.
All right, let's make official picks as it sits right now. Dunaway, number 9, Ole Miss, minus 15.5 at 11 o'clock, a little over an hour from now, playing host to the Auburn Tigers, a total of 55.5. Where would you go in this one?
I'd go 38-17 Ole Miss in this game. I think Robbie Ashford has some success early on, and they're able to run the ball a little bit. But in the end, it's Ole Miss. Another big day from Mingo. Jackson Dart's getting better. 38-17 Ole Miss.
Would be a cover there. I like Ole Miss to cover. I think it's going to be a little bit worse. I think 42-14. I think given Lane's frustrations historically in this game, I'm not saying he's going to run the score up, but I do think Lane's going to make a little bit of a statement here. And Auburn, they're historically bad second halves. Now, that's one thing. Ole Miss has struggled to put 2 halves together as well. Lane Kiffin's talked a lot about that. But it's always been the second half with Auburn. It's varied. If Ole Miss gets out to a quick start here, I think it's bad news. 42-14 is my pick in that one. Biggest game of the day, Alabama, minus 9, number 3 in the country, at number 6, Tennessee. Tennessee catching 9 at home. I know you like the pick. Give me the kind of you like Tennessee plus the 9. Give me the kind of score you're thinking of.
Well, it was 8.5 when LT gave it to me. The line was 7.5.
Right.
They gave me a bonus line. It's the bonus point before it went up. But I'm stuck at 8.5. I can't play it at 9. You guys are stuck, I think, 7.5 if you played it on our Buffalo Wild Wings pick 3 at nextroundlive.com. Still time to get in and play that this morning if you'd like. I'm going to go Alabama 38, Tennessee 30 or 31, somewhere like that. 38-30, 38-31. I think they have some success connecting on some deep throws. Hendon Hooker throws the ball deep really well.
42-31 for me. 42-31, which would be Alabama covering by a narrow margin. But I think Bama wins this thing 42-31. In case you weren't around earlier, ESPN reported last night that Bryce Young was set to go. Pete Thamel reports this morning, unless there's some sort of unforeseen pregame setback, Bryce Young is going to play in this game today against Tennessee. So 42-31 is my pick there. All right, catch Dunaway on 42 after the game and with us on the post-game video. Sounds like a little party's broken out next to you there, Dunaway. Got some good music.
Yeah, the tailgating area is going on around us here. Starting to fill up a little bit over here and over here. There's my stand. I broke my stand, so I'm using my golf shoe. And the beautiful Tennessee mountains in downtown Knoxville. But truthfully, you know, I worry about this show more than I do anything else, of wanting to be here for it on time and set up. I got here at this spot to secure the top spot here. I apparently didn't have to get here this early, but I did. I got here probably, when did I text you for the first time? I was already here
7.
this morning.
Yeah, just after 7 o'clock. Yeah,
2 hours
up early,
ahead of time. I was here. Yeah. Not that I don't care about the CBS 42 hit coming up later on, but this is the only thing I was worried about today because of our connection.
The one that pays the house payment. All right, well, enjoy the game. Everyone enjoy the game. We'll be back afterwards. Will Lowry joins me immediately post game. Dunaway will be there with his golf shoe. What a great camera stand there with his golf shoe. Make sure to give us a thumbs up, set your alerts, subscribe on YouTube, and watch social media for when we go live. Go to nextround.store, code Jim, Lance, Brown, or Rockstar. Buy one, get one 50% off. Everything in the Next Round store at nextround.store with those codes. And thank you to Johnston RV Center, I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, johnstonrvcenter.com, and Champy's world famous fried chicken. What an artistic shot Dunaway takes us out with here. Jimmy D, enjoy the game. We'll see you later on.